What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about 11 different mining stocks, actually 10 different mining stocks, sorry, crypto mining stocks in this video. It is the 30th of September, right? By the time most of you watch this, it'll be the 1st of October, so we've ended the month officially. Congratulations, everybody. I'm going to leave a list in the description of what stocks I'm talking about. WGMI Valkyrie Bitcoin miners is the first one at the request of balloons. Let's get into it. Sitting at $19 right now. Certainly you are in an uptrend, right? Higher lows, higher highs, yes, yes. They say the trend is your friend until the end of the trend, right? So higher highs is probably to be expected. We could do a really easy one right here from a high to a low. You know, you're on a weekly look here, so probably in no time at all. I would expect by the end of this year, you genuinely could be at $33 to $41. If you're not in that zone by the end of this year, sometime very, very early next year. Like I'm talking January at the latest, that you'd be in this zone. I'm not saying that that's when you're done with your move. You could continue past that, who knows? But I do expect that you're going to be here by then. And that kind of makes sense lining up with these highs as well, kind of. But I will say, I was looking at this actually a second ago. This is my second or third take of this video. From all these highs, they do line up pretty well, even back with this high here. From a high to a low point, it wouldn't really make sense to go to the 1272 or the 1618 until at the earliest, like March of next year, right? Like late February, if not early March. And that doesn't sound right to me. So what sounds right to me is that you are going to break this trend line. You are going to break out of your all-time high zone as well, where you just tipped, right? You tipped right here, not your all-time highs technically, but very, like, obviously right in that zone. It makes sense that you'd find resistance here, but you're on the path up. You're consolidating right before this very important shelf to break. Not only are you breaking horizontal resistance back here, but you're going to break diagonal resistance as well. What I'm getting at is I think you don't have to stop here. You don't have to stop at $31 to $41. This is the expected zone. It makes sense just looking at it that you would probably go up here, right? Just based off this little trend here. It kind of makes sense. But with these, I'd say, very critical points that you're breaking out from, breaking away from, breaking out to new all-time highs, absolutely. You could see deeper extensions. You could see something that's as like high as $78. The 2618s all the way up here. These are your secondary targets, 2618 to the 1886, right? With a heavier emphasis on that 2272 to 1886, it's less common that you reach that 2618, but it does happen. Sorry, I had to clear my throat there, man. Let's see. I've got asthma, man. It sounds like a really bad cough. That's what I'll tell people. I never knew that asthma was like this, but it's like I've just got a chronic cough that's caused by asthma. That's all it is. $19. Where was I at? I got all distracted. Yeah, I think it's going to move up. That's kind of its next move up, all in all. Short-term, day-to-day stuff. If we look at the daily RSI, it looks fine. Yes, you've rejected the overbought zone. Yes, you have. I think it's fine as long as you don't go below the 50, right, or too far below the 50, right? Like you kind of rejected the overbought zone here and then went below the 50, but you turned around really quickly. As long as you don't go too far below the 50, I think it's fine. But really, I would just like to see you hold the 50. I wouldn't like to see you go below there at all. So looking at the price action for what it's worth compared to this RSI here, it would also make sense that you don't go too much lower as well. So that's nice with the RSI. I bet you don't even go below $18. You're at $19 now, but a little bit more of a move down, probably just a little bit more. You're at $19 now. You probably go down to like $18.30, $18.50, something like that around there, give or take 10 cents, 20 cents either direction, right? And then just continue your way up through this zone here. Your next target area would probably be like $22 to $23, somewhere in that zone. I would expect you find resistance there as well, but then you just continue to work your way up. Essentially, time will tell. But that's that. I definitely do believe you're moving up. I'm not worried about it at all. I don't think that rejecting the overbought zone is ideal ever, but you're looking bullishly postured overall. I don't mind it. The weekly RSI is looking nice too, and your price action on a weekly basis looks good. So I definitely think over the weeks, over the months, you're definitely going to be moving up. New all-time highs by the end of the year is what I'm expecting. So that's WGMI. Let's talk about HUT for Hopeful Voyage. We're at 1226 right now. HUT 8 Corp, from a high to a low, went up to its 618 area, couldn't get there. 236 makes sense, right? A little bit. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know if I like this fib. I wonder if I've said that before. I wonder. It wouldn't respect this one. There's no way. It kind of looks way cleaner, actually. I don't like that though. I'm not going to go for that, right? That's not how you do things, man. You can do that anywhere, right? Like, oh, from this high to, let's see, right here from this low, look, I've got significance right there, and right, like, you know, like you can nitpick. Look, it bounced off the 382. You can nitpick all you want, but no, from this high to that low, it wouldn't make sense. So, hut 8 from a recent. I don't want that high. Maybe I should take the low from this low to this high. Golden ratio, there we go. This is better. Okay, productive, looking productive for sure. Finding support on your 618 golden zone, holding it, nice. Also previous area of support and support back here and resistance back here. Key area to hold, nice, and you did it. Continue to move up, volume came in nice, but you just didn't go anywhere. So of course you came back down. I would expect that when you do go up again, you probably break out. It's going to be phenomenal. I would bet, even though you're not respecting it, I would bet that you see something on the lines of a normal retracement of this move here. So using these fibs in tandem. I'm sorry for how confusing the first part was for this segment of the video, but man, I was confused trying to, you know, normally relative high to cycle low, that fib is respected, but it just really isn't that respected. But based off of this fib, I would expect that you don't stop at your golden ratio zone of this larger fib, 25, basically 26 to 32 bucks. I don't think you stop there because you've got resistance here, right? You've got kind of a long phase of consolidation and resistance here at this like $18 area, $18, $20 area. When you break through, I don't think it'll stop here. I think you'll go deeper. So probably the 786, 886 area, let's just say the 100 to the 786 area, something like that, between about $43 and $83, somewhere in that zone is where you will move very fast when you break out of this $20 zone. When you break above, like, I would say probably this weekly closing high here. I don't think you need to close above that weekly closing high to be convincing. I think this weekly closing high would be enough. Maybe even this weekly closing high, but close above $20 essentially any given week, and it would tell me that it's go time for prices that are probably, you know, 100% if not more than that higher, right? Like 100%, 300% higher, like literally. Because yeah, 80 bucks would be 300% higher than 20 bucks. So, and we're at 1226 now. So that's all to come in the future. This is on a weekly time frame. This will take time, but I do believe that's in store. I do believe all in all that you are moving your way up. However it looks, right, you're gonna have ups and downs and whatever all the way up here. I don't believe that you'll turn around like you did the prior 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I don't believe you'll do that, right? If you do, maybe a little bit, whatever, a consolidation and then move up. But I think this next move overall will break you out of this phase here, and it will take you deeper again to that like $43 to $83 level, which is the 786 to the 100 retracement of this fib here from this high to this low here, right? So something in this area kind of makes sense to me, right? Because again, you're consolidating. It's an ascending triangle. It's a whatever. You've got resistance at kind of like a flat level up here, ascending lows, volumes coming in, right? You're running out of time. It's squeezing. It's going to, whenever it pops, it's going to go fast one direction or the other. This is crypto. It's crypto mining, right? We're coming to like a very bullish phase in the market. I do expect you're going to move up. So that's that for HUD 8. Looking good. You didn't have any other requests with that. So CleanSpark is the next one for Cow. We've got, actually, I think the next 4 requests are for Cow. CleanSpark, let's see here. 934. Everybody's so worried about CleanSpark, man. I don't get it. Why are you worried? What's the concern? I don't get it, right? Every time we've interacted with this trend line, okay, so far, which hasn't been much, right? But the very first starting point right here from a high to, or from a low to a high, relative high, moved up 119% in the course of from December, the end of December 2022 to the end of January. So in the course of a month, a little bit over a month maybe, 119%, right? It's the first time from where that trend started. From this low to this high, relative high, right? Like very close high, let alone what we ended up doing overall. Moved up another 150% from, what was that? From March, beginning of March to the middle of April, so a little like a month and a half, right? And then here, from this low to this relative high, not even the actual high, but just this first moment, or why did I measure a fib? This first high moved up 289%. Why, oh why, are we shitting ourselves now? It doesn't make any sense. Why why is it affecting everybody negatively? Let's see if we can get that a little cleaner there. Something like this, right? That's what we're going for. Something like that, more or less. Maybe we go a little bit lower. It's possible, right? If we had this drawn attached to these lows down here, maybe you go a little bit lower. Maybe you don't. I don't know. These diagonal lines, they don't have to be respected, right? It's nice when they are, but they don't have to be respected. Don't hold to it too much. And this is fine right here. This kind of look here, in my opinion. But we're in this area that's been phenomenal in a very short amount of time, every single time. Why are people scared? Why? From a low point to like the minimum growth that we've seen, it was like 108%, 109% in a month and a half period. Here we are. It's from September. We're almost. Let's see, beginning of September. We're almost in the beginning of October. But by the rate of growth that we've seen from these prior two instances, or prior three instances, I think that we would expect to see something like basically in the middle of this zone by the halfway point of October, if not by the end of October. And definitely we could see something larger. And I would expect personally that this move here, it'd probably be something like this, right? Where your first move up has a little bit of a pullback, and then you continue secondly, right? Your first move up might come right to this zone. You have a little bit of a pullback, find support where you found support before, and then you continue moving up, right? I don't think that this next move stops right here in this zone. I just think that that's probably a likely area that we go to, come back down, find support at an area that we found support before, move on up to higher prices, of which I think are going to be the same targets that we've been talking about for a while, right? From a high to a low point here, 33 bucks, 50 bucks, somewhere in that zone. We're at $9 now. Yes, I'm aware of the, what's the term? Oh my goodness, why can't I remember right now? I'm drawing a blank. I'm aware of the diluted shares or undiluted shares, right? I'm aware of that. There's the same thing back here. There's the same thing here, right? Like that's been going on, right? They're using it to help grow the company. It ends up making the company more valuable, so that ends up making the stock more valuable. Yes, it diminishes the potential for overall growth whenever you do have share dilution. It does, but if it's adding value to the company, it's adding value to the stock, regardless of what you want to accept as reality or not. It's going to move up is all I'm trying to say. I don't care about the share dilution. All that is like probably hold you back from like potential for your all-time high, right? Like, but that's it. So genuinely all I'm trying to say is that you're going to move up. You're at $9.34. Probably by the end of this year, I would expect that we are, not by the end of this year, man, by the end of October, I would expect that we're between 15 bucks and $21, and then by the end of the year, somewhere around $33 to $50 is where we're going to be. That's my expectation. Yeah. Yep. And that's CleanSpark. So let's move on from that. Actually, I want to look at the daily real quick. The weekly's nice, man. Getting overbought, staying and living above the 50, and then you just tip the oversold zone. Like you don't want anything to do with it. That's a nice look, man. That really is a nice look. The last time we tipped the oversold zone, look at what it brought us, right? Like right here. That was the last time, the very last time we tipped it, right there, right? Tip, 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 tap. Brought us 110% growth in a 1 month period, right? We already measured that. We know that, right? In a very similar area to the same trend line that ignited back here. I don't know. I'm just saying, man. This could be the beginning of something bigger than just this, right? Absolutely. CleanSpark, IREN for Cal. Yes. IREN, Iris Energy. People call it IREN. I'm going to call it IREN. IREN, just for fun, right? Let's see. From a relative high to low, the kind of move down here that ignited this move up, right? This was the spring, the winding of the spring, and then you sprung yourself right here, right? Of course, arguably this whole move is, but this is just your last little bit. That's something that's kind of a good area to measure sometimes, right? And you are showing respect throughout this fib as you work your way up. So I think it might be good using it looking forward, right? You found resistance at your 1414 area right there. Pulled back to your 100.886 area, a very common thing to do. A very healthy and strong thing to do when working your way up. The next target based off of this, absolutely undeniably, would be 2270 based off of this. You're at $8.44 right now. So 2270, let's see if we can make sense out of that based off of this fib. From a high to a low, perfect, man. Literally, 2270 is right at the 1414, which of this fib zone from the high to low, that's where you found resistance. And it's your literal technical next target based off of the current move that you're making through this fib. 2270, bro. It makes like that $22 to $23 zone, it makes total sense. And you did go a little bit above it last time. Just because you go a little bit above 2270 or 2344, whatever the number is, just because you go like $1 above it doesn't mean it's going to the moon. It just means that it went a little bit above it. That's okay, right? You do have this 1886 lining up with this 1886. I think that's interesting to mention. 2618, very key area, lining up with the 2272, which is a very key area as well. I don't know. Nice. It's nice seeing that, man. This thing has potential to progress a lot. Like I could see this thing doing more than a 10x. By the end of the cycle, but by the end of the year, because that's kind of the time frame I've been working with now that we're in October. Yeah, you're at 844. I could see you by the end of the year going as high as $40. Okay, that's high. That's like when I say as high as that, that's not what I expect. Right? Get my words right in your ears. Just because I'm saying it doesn't mean that I expect it to happen. That's just the limit. That's the height that I would expect it to go is 40 by the end of the years. But by the end of the year, again, use your ears. I'm not saying by the end of the cycle. I'm saying by the end of the year. If the end of the cycle for this thing happens to be by the end of the year, that's not the expectation that I have. But it could happen. You never know, right? The next high could be its last high. But what I'm trying to get at is, besides all the semantics, is that I think $40 at the max, $23 at the minimum by the end of the year is what I'm expecting. That's a huge range. You're at 844 now, so at least most of that growth will be accounted for, I suppose. But definitely high prospects by the end of the year is what my thoughts are. The weekly RSI is looking fine. Getting overbought and not even getting close to your oversold zone, we'll take it, man. That's fine. Bouncing off of your 40 area, that's nice. That's actually a really good look. Kind of an area that you found resistance at before resistance here. Like not bad, right? Makes sense. Looks good. Higher lows, right? Overall, like your whole life, it's actually pretty good. Daily RSI looking productive as well. Yes, same thing as like HUT. I think it was. If it moves down a little bit, that's okay, right? Or maybe it was WGMI actually. You're at 844 right now. If you move down to like $8, maybe 770, that's okay. But probably up overall. You actually look a lot like WGMI. I wonder if IREN. I think it is. I think IREN is in that ETF, so that actually might be why. Resistance at the 382, broke above it here. You should have got continuation, but you didn't. There was no volume, so pulling back. I don't think you see this 236, but I do think you'll see the 618 soon. So probably sometime like around the halfway point of October, maybe around like literally around the 10th, maybe it's around the 20th, somewhere in that time frame. I would bet that you're at $11 or higher. Certainly by the end of this month, I would expect that you've interacted with the $11 to $12 zone. You could be even higher than that by the end of this month, but that's just stuff, shorter term stuff to kind of look forward to. Don't be discouraged if you move down a little bit tomorrow, right, or the next day, or even the rest of this week. Like, don't be discouraged if it doesn't happen, if you don't start moving up until next week, right? But soon, very soon, man. It's the beginning of October right now. You're gonna be. I would think it makes perfect sense that if you're going to have a green month in October, your first couple days would be the red months, right? Because you go back, you look at any month here, right? This is not a long-lasted chart. It's very new, but still we have plenty of examples, right? This was a red month, but it had some upside to it first, right? These green months are not good examples because they had a little bit of a wick to the downside, a little bit, right? But not really that dramatic. Most green months, on most charts at least, they do have wicks to the downside, right? There are always those green months that don't, of course, but the more general thing is that they do, which means generally speaking, right, when the month opens, you kind of go, I forget what the rule is or what they call it. Is it like the rule of opposites? I forget what it is, but it's like you open up a new month, and if it's going to be a green month, it's going to close green. Well, if it like this month did, well, you're going to move down first, and then you'll move up, right? You'll get that wick. I don't know. It's whether it's a coincidence, whether it's like an actual like rule that has to be respected. I don't think it has to be respected, obviously, but just something that it's like a commonality that you'll notice across all charts is that normally there are wicks to the opposite direction of where the month closed, which implies that in the beginning of the month, the first couple days, the first couple weeks, whatever, it went the opposite direction of where it's going to go. So opening the month to the downside is actually, in some people's opinion, a good sign that we're going to close the month green, if that makes any sense. Right. I don't run off of that strictly at face value for what it is, but I kind of take it into consideration, right? And it makes sense. It all makes sense because just based off the daily, the way it looks, you would go down a little bit more. But your daily RSI looks constructive, so a little bit more is the key word. You've got more upside to go. First couple days of the month, you might go down. Ending of the month, continuing to go up, right? And maybe not at that pace. Maybe it's at this continued pace, but still. That's IREN. That's Iris. Okay, let's move on to Marathon. Marathon here, Mara, or Mara. I don't know why they call it Mara. Mara. I guess. I don't know. I call it Mara. It's Marathon. Mara. I don't know. 1622. High to low. No. Consolidating, right, on a weekly basis. I don't like that you're finding resistance on the 50 area here, but that's okay. You did before, and it didn't send you to the oversold zone, so that's fine. Higher lows overall, definitely a nice look on your weekly. I would think you're at an area that you're probably going to find support and move up. Yeah, so I don't think that you're going to move lower than this. I definitely think that you're at the low ends of your overall consolidation phase here, right? Definitely at the lower ends there. So upside is the likely choice, in my opinion. I do believe, like most of these crypto mining stocks, that your next interaction with your resistance zone will be your last, right? It'll be the one that sends you through the roof. So with that in mind, let's actually take this. I don't know if I want to measure from this low over here. I want to measure for the breakout move. I want to measure from the high to that low. I don't want to measure from that low. I'm going to call these fake outs, right? Because that's essentially what they were. $43 to $58, $59 is where you're going to go, right, for this next move. By the end of the year, I think so. If not by the end of the year, very beginning of next year, like January is what I would expect, right? But let's see, looking at the shorter term stuff, daily RSI, daily looks productive. If you go lower, again, just like the other ones, a little bit would be the most I'd give you. I wouldn't like to see you go below the 50, but I think it's fine if you do. Look, I mean, you've disrespected the hell out of this 50 before and still found your way to the overbought zone. Disrespected it here, and that was a very bullish looking move right there, right? Yeah, very bullish move, right? So I guess you don't need to hold it, and that's fine because you haven't before, you haven't respected it. Some charts just don't, right? And this is where, as a technical analyst, I feel like I've thrown in a couple of bones here, a couple of little like tidbits and tricks if you're learning TA or aspiring to learn TA, or even you're just aspiring to understand what it is that I'm saying or what I'm going over or where my thoughts are with things whenever I see them. This is one of those moments here, right, where generally you expect any chart and every chart to respect the 50. You expect any chart and every chart to respect the 60 and the 40 and the overbought zone and the overbought zone and the oversold zone. You expect them to respect these levels, but not every chart does. And it's on you to take that into account and look at this chart and be like, ho, it's right at the 50. It's going to bounce here. Let's go. No, don't get excited. Don't just see what you want to see and believe it because it sounds good, right? Most charts, sure, that's the look. But if you go back and look at this, when does it show? Where has it done that ever? Right here, kind of right there. Okay, once out of like a billion, right? It doesn't respect its 50. It doesn't care. It doesn't need to, and that's okay, right? Rules are they're not so rigid in technical analysis, right? They are in some cases, but even the 50, that's a pretty rigid rule, I will say, across the board, but it's flexible still, right? Some charts don't need to respect it. Bitcoin Cash doesn't respect its daily 50 either, right? And Bitcoin Cash it operates fine. It probably does respect its weekly 50, right? Yeah, look at that, right? Like it's respecting its weekly 50 a lot more respect there. But and that's the thing too. Just because it doesn't respect its daily doesn't mean it doesn't respect its weekly. It's all different, and it's on you as an analyst to take that in and acknowledge that and see that and not just see what you want to see, not just be like, oh, this is the area that we look for it to bounce and it's going to go up. No, more likely than not, it's actually going to go to the area we don't look for, which is like this gray zone between the 50 and the 40, and then it'll bounce. It'll get a higher low and then it'll bounce because that's just what it does. It disrespects this. So hit that over the head a lot. I think it goes down a little bit more is all I'm trying to say, and then up, just like the rest of these things, man. Marathon, that's that. Let's move on to SQ. Oh, Marathon was at the request of Young Dade H. Oh, Marathon. You wanted me to do an end-of-the-year prediction for Marathon, right? I already did that, but yeah, I'm going to stick with that $43 to $60, somewhere in there by the end of the year. That's my expectation. Let's try a little harder. Let's try a little bit harder. Okay. I don't know. We're in a bull market. Let's see. We're looking for bull market moves, man. Right? You can move up in a short amount of time. You can move up in a very short amount of time. Let's go off of what I'm asking for. Let's do that. Okay. So from this high to this low, I'm expecting this by the end of the year. That's what I'm asking for. That doesn't seem like a lot based off of, you know, this move here. But we're at this current price, talking about moving here in this bubble by the end of the year. Something like that, right? It could be in this kind of pace. I mean, dude, we've been doing that. We've been doing that this whole time. I might be too conservative, man. It's hard to say. I genuinely might be too conservative whenever I say, what was it, $33 to $50 or whatever the price was by the end of the year? Because, I mean, I don't know. We don't have a whole lot of history to go off of as far as like bull markets go. I don't know if Marathon was always, I don't think it was mining Bitcoin all the way back through here. I don't think it always was. I forget when. It might have started back here. I really don't know. We can look it up. Let's look it up. We got the internet. When did Mara start mining Bitcoin? 2010. So they did. They did start mining it all the way back here in 2010. Wow. Wow, they did all the way back there. Okay. I guess not. Man, they were bad at first, and then they started to get good for some reason in 2020. I don't know. We only have, I guess, one real bull cycle of this thing to go off of, right? And it does move pretty fast is all I'm trying to get to, right? I'm trying to assume where it could be by the end of the year. I don't know, man. Young Date H, I don't know how. That's a really good question. I feel very comfortable saying that I think you're going to be, by the end of this year, I think that you're going to be at a price like, let's see, $43 to $58, $59, yeah, somewhere in that zone. So not 33, sorry, 43 to 59. But you genuinely could go higher. You could. You've seen faster movements before in a very short amount of time. I mean, who knows, man? You could see deeper extensions. Looking at this high here to this low, let's see. High to low right here. I don't know, man. 3618, deep extension over here, lining up with your 1414. I don't think you'd go there by the end of the year. Let's just see what that would be for your market cap. You had something right there on that price. It's a 20x on your current market cap of $4 billion, right? $5 billion essentially, so that's a $100 billion market cap. Maybe end of cycle, but probably not end of the year stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I feel much more comfortable, I guess, now after giving it a lot more thought, saying something between $43 to $59, yes, and that makes sense too, because you're in your, if I take away this fib here, you're in your 61869 zone already, finding support here. When you move up, the next target area to go to would be the 786-886 area, which is exactly where your 1272 to 1618 area is of this high to low here, like literally to the T, right in that area. So that's where you're going to go by the end of the year. That's my expectation, yes. If not, maybe by the very beginning of next year, but I'm thinking end of the year is probably when you go. SQ is the next one for Cal. SQ, block. The block, or it's not the block, it's just block. The block's different, I think. Yeah, weird. It's a very weird thing, right? It's almost like inverse head and shoulders, right? It kind of is. It's not the best drawing that I had there, right? There you go. Something like that, right? It kind of is, you know, kind of. I don't know. Definitely bullish in nature, definitely an accumulation phase overall, right? Something that I would expect breaks out to the upside whenever it does break out. From a high to a low, 382, 236, nice. Yeah, man, if you hold this area, and I think you are, and I think you will, next area to go to be your 61869. Weekly RSI looks really good. I think, yeah, 134 to 155 by the end of the year could be where you're going, man. That's really fast. Yeah, it's going to be really fast, man. It's going to be super fast. You've been accumulating for a very long time. When this breaks, you're going to move very fast. You thought that was fast. It's going to do that, but more probably. You know, let's see if we can find another example. I don't know, right? Accumulation phase here. That finally broke. Before it even broke, you had a V-shaped recovery. But dude, look at how fast you moved up, right? Once that broke. When this accumulation phase breaks, is when this accumulation phase breaks, you're probably going to move up to that 134 to 155 area very fast, and I think that's going to happen soon. The area to look for to break would probably be about, I would say, technically on the fibs, 84 bucks ish, but based off the price, I would say 87, 88 dollars. When that breaks, if you're closing anywhere at like 90 or higher, you know that you're putting on your rockets, man, putting on those moon boots real soon. Absolutely, I think it has higher to go after that too, but this is just like a short-term move. Weekly RSI looks fine, neutral, fine. Daily, bullish, looks good, yeah, looks very, very good. If you move down, it's going to be very small amounts. You're not going to move down too much before moving higher. Let's talk about Cipher now for Navi. Cipher, here we go. Let's see. We're at 387 on Cipher. Daily RSI is looking nice. Weekly RSI, yeah, it could be better. But I mean, to be fair, it looks neutral, right? It's not like the weakest thing. You are hitting the overbought zone where you're not even hitting the oversold zone, so that is more bullish than bearish. But you're not getting overbought and you're not getting oversold, so it's very neutral. So it's but the price has been exactly that for a very long time now. Nice little move up, right? Not this week, but last week you moved up 41%. Good job, Cipher. From a high point to a low point, what did you do? Went right up to your 382. Yeah, nice. And you closed above it. Ooh, that's nice. That's good. Closed the month below it, though. Would have been nice if you closed the month above it. I wonder if this week closed. You know, man, if you close above $4.04, you might be moving up to $5.25, $5.70 in a very short amount of time. Something to kind of keep in mind, right? This is the weekly chart. When I say a short amount of time, it could be by the end of the month, but that's still a very short amount of time. 387. The fact that you went back below your 382 on the daily, I wouldn't, and being that with a lot of these crypto mining stocks, I am expecting that you go down over the next like couple days, maybe even to finish out this week, but at least like, you know, the next couple days, it would make sense that you went down to your 236 area at $3.44, somewhere around there. Going from your 382 to your 236 is very common when working your way up to the 61869. So I bet you do go down a little bit to start the month off, and then probably halfway through the month, if not a little bit later than that, 525 or higher is where you're going to be. By the end of the year, though, the expectation I think would be something closer to like 10 bucks, 11 bucks, 16 bucks maybe, all-time highs, right? Stuff like that. So monthly RSI looks bullish, bro. You look, and it makes sense, right? The weekly's boring. The monthly looks bullish. It's coiled. It's very coiled. It's wound up. It's ready to go. It's probably going to go to the upside. So, yeah. Anyway, Cipher. That's Cipher. BTCM for Prajalgimiri. I don't know. Prajalgimir. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think I'm getting the first part right, though. BTCM for you, my friend. Bit Mining Limited. 235. 235 right now. We're looking at this here. Oh, that's not what I wanted to draw. Let's see. Ooh, hold on. No, I'll worry about that later. 235 from a high to a low. Looking good, looking somewhat productive there. I like that. Monthly RSI looks sad, but that's okay. So does your chart, right? Definitely not calling for new all-time highs for this thing by the end of the cycle. Definitely not. 235 right now. I keep saying that because I've got nothing else to say. It's just so neutral. It's so, you know, you are at the lower part. I do think you're going to move up, of course. Weekly RSI looks better than it does worse, but you're definitely one of the worst looking charts, if not probably the worst looking chart we've looked at today. Daily RSI looks productive, as do a lot of them. If you move down, it's going to be by very nominal amounts. You know, this one's kind of harder to gauge, so I'm just going to do an overall fib from this high to this low here. Probably moving up to $4, $4.14 to $4.56. I'm sorry, somewhere around there, above this 123 moving average. I doubt you see 520 or 595. I bet you do stop here, but I think that's where you're going to go. You've already interacted with this zone, right, after forming this low for this fib range. So I don't believe you stop in this zone. If you do, it's going to be very brief, but I think that you're going to move up to 414, 456. Not by the end of this year. I think that that'll happen sooner. By the end of this year, it's hard to say. You know, this thing has underperformed. Again, it is the worst, I think the worst chart that we've seen so far. It could be at $10 to $16 by the end of this year. It might not even be above $7 by the end of this year, man. It's hard to say. It'll be important to focus on what we're doing with this $4 to 456 area and when we get there. So hopefully it happens sooner than later. I don't know though, man. Like this could be your end of the year target. Like genuinely, it could be. Hard to say. But I do think you're moving up. That part's easy to say at least, right? As far as like when though, I just don't know. It's so lackluster. This thing has like very little life in it, and then all of a sudden it moves up, and then it's just very little. So, BTCM, that's that. Bitfarms for Ali Masar. Bitfarms. Nope, that is Bitfarms, but not the one that I'm trying to go for here. Let's see, 211 right now. Also consolidating. Kind of reminds me of Marathon, kind of. Different though, obviously. From a high to a low. Come on now. Just went right to your 786. Yeah, I could see it moving up, man. Weekly RSI looks fine. Rejecting the 50, but if you reject it, right, like here, but you don't get oversold, you turn around, that's a good thing, right? So just turn around. That's all we need, right? You didn't turn around here, and it was a bad thing. You got oversold, right? Doing this kind of stuff is often better than it is worse, right? And you can see that in the price action, right? Like you move down, you consolidate a little bit, but boom, went off to the upside. You're moving down, you're consolidating a little bit. You know, you might move up here soon, but looking at the weekly RSI, it does make me think you move down a little bit to finish this week. It's the beginning of the month. A lot of these stocks look like they want to move down, so of course that makes sense. 211 right now, probably down. I don't think you go much lower than like $2. If you do, don't worry about it, man. It's okay. You could go as low as like 185 probably and be fine, but you know, a little bit of downside right now. Daily RSI looks more productive than the weekly does. Yeah, definitely more productive. But just like, I forget which one it was, you know, this one doesn't seem to respect the 50 too much on its daily RSI either. Marathon, I think. It's funny, I was comparing this one to Marathon too, right, at the very beginning. It respects it more than Marathon, I would say, but still doesn't respect it. So all I'm trying to say is this is an area that you would expect to bounce. Don't get your feelings hurt if you go a little bit lower, and definitely don't expect the oversold zone if you go lower. I bet you hold a higher low, but you go a little bit below the 50, which again is in line with what most of these stocks look like right now, which is that you're probably going to go down to start the month off, right? The first couple days, the first week, probably, right? And then up, But that's Bitfarms. Where's the upside to watch for immediately? I don't know, man, right? From a high to a low, I'd watch for that 273 to 292 area probably sometime this month. By the end of the year, $5, $7 could be a real possibility. Even higher than that, it's kind of hard to say with Bitfarms, honestly. I feel like it's underperformed this crypto cycle so far, which leaves the door open for two things: continuation of that underperformance, or now it's time for it to shine, you know. And if it is time for it to shine, maybe it doesn't stop here. Not that this wouldn't be great. That's awesome, right? $5, $7, you're at $2.11 now. By the end of the year, that's great. No one's going to be upset by that. But I mean, maybe you see deeper extensions. Maybe something big happens with Bitfarms. I don't know. Maybe you go back to your all-time highs or through that. By the end of the year, probably not. But this is the zone that I'm expecting by the end of the year. That's Bitfarms. Let's talk about WULF and finish this bad boy up. WULF for Ali Masar. Here we go. We're at 468 right now. Weekly RSI is looking fierce, like a wolf, right? Super fierce, baby. Very fierce on the daily RSI as well. Yeah, looking really good. Definitely a bullish chart. Absolutely it is. Let's look at the longer term stuff and get a perspective as to where we are from a high to a low. Here we go. Here we go. Nice, dude. Looking really good. Yeah, I like this chart a lot, man. This is probably my favorite chart. Now, when I say that, that doesn't mean it's the one that I expect to grow the most. I like when you get rejection off the 382, support on the 236, you shelf it, you break through it, you pull back, you find support on it. It's so perfect. It looks so great. I love it when it's respected. This was not so much respected, but whatever. Based off of this, absolutely, I think that you're going to move up to your 618, 69 area. By the end of the year, I would say that you're probably even higher than that. You could be at this like $17 to $26 area potentially, $27 area maybe. Is that what that is? Yeah, like 27, 26. Or, sorry, $17 to $27 area. That's a pretty big range, but that's what we got by the end of the year. I think 825 to 1131 is going to come in no time. Maybe not by the end of October. Maybe by the end of October, but that might be something more like early November stuff. I don't know. Kind of perplexed, to say the least. A little bit of down, just like the rest of them. Should be no surprise, right? A little bit of downside to start the month off. Yes, okay. I think by the end of the month of October, you will see 825 to 1131. By the end of the year, I'm thinking 17 to 27. Let's refine that a little bit. 17 to 27. We're looking more for, by the end of the year, oh my God, it's really not that refined at all. On this, I would say 14 to 26, so that just makes the range bigger, actually. But that's it, man. So I don't know. A lot of stuff coming up around that like $17 area and that $27 area. So hard to say, definitely hard to say, but higher by the end of the year, that's for sure. I definitely do expect that you'll be at some decent prices by the end of the month. We'll see, but a little bit of downside first, just like the rest of them, and then some upside. And that's all I got for you guys. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves.